the pirates. I must admit, Commander Brent, I was concerned for a time. Thankfully, you seem to have pulled through, more or less intact, Admiral Cistern says, and Sir Philip is beside him along with two soldiers with very intense gazes behind them both. More or less is really the proper turn of phrase, sir. That weapon, the hate engine, would have been a finishing blow if we weren't already in position to destroy it more or less immediately. I trust that the blueprints and plans for that monstrosity is being treated with the utmost discretion and delicacy. Miles states rather than asks. Admiral Cistern only smiles at that bit of spine. They're only being opened on closed circuit, and the data is being exclusively transferred with proton-based communication. If there's a way to hack the temporal entanglement of that odd material, then it has not been made known to me, Admiral Cistern assures him. Good that. What about the defenses against it? Is that being distributed? Because we're already making our own copies of the helmets. Yes, we're already tooling numerous workshops to mass produce them, and we have multiple scientists and our nerd boys putting their heads together to make them more efficient, or more of a one-size-fits-all rather than a general 3 or 4 configurations that the current blueprints have. Admiral Cistern says, and a relieved sigh slips out from between Miles's lips. Indeed, I'm glad you made it out of that attack. Sir, I struggle to even describe what it was like to be under the effect of that hate engine. It was literally hell. The base description of the effect alone and what it does to humans is enough for me to put some rather disturbing puzzle pieces together. A forced fight response in non-human races, and a combination flight and fight response in humans that forces you to hallucinate your worst fears. Horrifying, it's a custom hell for the viewer, with the added bonus of severe hemorrhage. Jing causing a massive nosebleed as your non-human friends and family start trying to murder each other and you, Admiral Cistern notes, and he takes a deep breath. As of this moment, hate engines and all devices of similar capacity are categorized as weapons of mass destruction. The creation of such equipment for any purpose beyond testing for more efficient counters is a crime punishable by immediate imprisonment and dishonorable discharge. The deliberate and knowing activation of such equipment outside strict testing parameters is regarded as an execution-worthy offense. Furthermore, all known and discovered instances of this equipment that is not under sufficient containment are to be immediately destroyed. Failure to do so without adequate reason will result in dishonorable discharge. These devices are to be destroyed, not captured. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. Speaking of, how goes the purge of the Mother Massacre pods? The 2 captured Vekas have been openly and actively using their knowledge and accesses to help us hunt them down in return for clemency. We've been openly advertising this fact to the general population, and the general opinion of those 2 has shifted from throw them in a wood chipper to launch them to the other side of the galaxy, and if they ever come back to shoot them on sight. I see, Admiral Cistern says, openly offering no judgment on how the situation is being handled. Sir, have I? What comes next will be entirely on yourself. If you wish to ask advice, then I will offer it. However, you are managing a state and you have captured enemy hostiles that did not offer any form of surrender until literally gunned down and tied up. If they had been shot in the field, there would have been no question to the conduct or behavior. However, taking captives brings about a greatly tangled mess. Sir, No, you're not advising that I don't take captives. I want you to pay attention to what's happening now. It's a learning opportunity, soldier. Admiral Cistern says, Sir, yes, sir. Now get back to recovery. I can see that you've taken a few dings yourself and likely have enough, Admiral Cistern tells him, and Miles nods before snapping off a final salute and closing the call. Well, sir, that's another thing to train against, Agent Omega notes. It's going to be interesting to simulate such a thing to see if any kind of resilience can be trained, Agent Alpha adds. To say the least, it will also require one hell of a written form to justify it. Admiral Cistern agrees before turning back to his 2 best. And I'm sorry, boys, we were getting close to sending you out. Back to the simulator then, Agent Omega remarks with a bit of a shrug. About that, you dented the wall a little hard last time in the Alpha simulator. Sorry, sir, Agent Alpha says, and Sir Philip can see the eyes scrunch up a little as the man smirks under his protective mask. I'm sure you are. If you two wish to keep yourselves sharp, you'll have to go to Simulator Beta today as we knock the dents back into place and get the wiring hooked up again, Admiral Cistern tells them. Also, if you two don't mind, I'd like you two to put together at least a partial simulation of a hate engine's effect. We'll start simple. How will our soldiers react when every civilian and enemy suddenly goes murderously berserk? Sounds fun, Agent Omega states. Come on, Alpha Boy. I'm taking you to Nam. I prefer the dry heat of the deserts. Miles meditates, healing himself bit by bit as he focuses. He will be stronger, he will be faster. Next time he runs into a mother massacre or has to null an area he's in, he's still going to be superhuman. He won't go as far as Titan Squad, but he'll still be an absolute killing machine to match and surpass whatever he's run up against. Jingai squeezes a little tighter as she nuzzles into his hug. He adjusts his grip and she lets out a hum. I scared me, Jingai says after a while. It's okay. You didn't hurt anyone. Miles reassures her. Still scary, she says. I'm not scared of you. No one in the family is. Does any other opinion matter? He asks her, and she thinks about it for a while. No, she concludes. She's much happier after that. And go, Dr. Valiance tells him, and Franklin reverses the temporal state of the Alvari Charana device. It reaches the state where it held information, and she initiates a data theft protocol in her own, specially modified Alvari Charana device. Done! Franklin lets the device go and activates his brand before catching the reblanked and now searing hot Kutha device. Did it work? Data integrity at 97.3%. Perfect, Dr. Valiance cheers. Good! I need a win after everything that happened. Who did you hurt? Franklin asks in a moment of insight. That Dr. Valiance doesn't answer at all, says a lot. It wasn't your fault, Franklin says, and she glares at him. I know that, she says, and she flinches away when he reaches out. I'm sorry, he says, and she turns away. I don't need your pity. Don't need or don't want? He asks, and the glare comes back. I suppose it doesn't matter. I'll respect your wishes then. Then he's gone, and she looks down at her lowermost left claw. Some of her kind have 4 arms, some 6. Either way, they have many sharp fingers that part flesh and stain with blood far too easily. The Kuda creaks ever so slightly in her grip, and she forces it away as hard as she can before walking away. She has work to do. All right, troops, we have a huge number of new recruits today. All told, we're up a few thousand%, which means lots of cadets. Speaking of cadets, announce yourself. Who are you? Marcus demands of his new recruits. His kitty squadron has grown into a squad of legions. He has backup, but good grief is this going to run him ragged. 30 kids is a problem. 300 at a time, thrice daily, and every day of the week is a lot. But not too much. There is no such thing. He will find a way. There is always a way. The same sparks that has these children standing up and paying attention is an old and comfortable flame that beats in his chest and sets fire to his veins. They will be undaunted. He already is. Fist is deflected by the side of the hand as Lou is on the offensive and sorting out the sheer hell that had happened. The sensation of rotting and his skin sloughing off had been entirely in his head and put there by the hate engine. But it had seemed so real in that moment. Moving, striking, the pulsing of hot red blood in his veins and the struggle of muscle against sinew, flesh against bone was revitalizing. It was sweeping away the fears, the worries, and the sensation of a cold, clammy, unending death in darkness. His opponent, Ryu, is using this as therapy as much as he is. The hell of a million needles is not to be sneered at. His flurry is being deflected. Neither man is actually trying to strike the other. They're just using the other as a training dummy without actually seeking to cause damage. There's no point in that. The point is in the movement, the sensation of life that comes from even so simple a spar. Lou ducks to avoid a high kick and steps to the side before catching the limb and punching forwards but pulling the blow at the last inch. His fist lightly touches Ryu's chest and Ryu nods. They step apart and bow slightly before taking their stances again. The agreement was to keep sparring until they both felt better. This was going to take a while. It had already taken hours. Lu's sweeping leg is quickly trapped, and Ryu's fist meets the side of Lu's head. Again, it's pulled at the last inch. They separate, bow, and ready themselves again. Depress the trigger, a beam of light lances forward and the hollow target fades. Several more targets present themselves, and in the moment of hesitation, they're all flying in opposite directions, and the hand controlling the laser panics to try and get them all. The result is that most of them are missed. Kimari lowers the weapon and just looks into the middle distance. The rage had been horrible, but he'd fought it. But it still got him. It had reached him from continents away, over water, through the air and walls and around corners. It had got him. He had gotten got. His eyes closed, but what he sees are the brutalist walls of the ship he had. That horrible, horrible place. I hate being a Canador, he mutters to himself. There's movement, and he turns to look and sees Elira staring at him. She's a blood soner and his older sister. His slaver sister that tried to go back. Family or not, he hates her. Hates her for ever wanting to be part of the slavers. He remembers the collar. He remembers the forced claw trimmings, the shock sticks. Why would you hate being one of the strongest races ever? Elira asks. Because then you have to be, Kimari says as he starts the program again. He just wants to weep, but that won't solve anything, and hiding behind Dad had clearly not worked. He needs to be stronger. He needs to be too strong to hurt. He ignores the criminal sibling and starts firing with even more accuracy and persistence. He's still missing over half the time when the multiple moving targets come up. So he runs the program again. It was unfair to ask Dad to carry the entire family. Bull Canador or not, his father has a limit to his strength. Can only shelter so many. It's time to stop being so selfish and grow the hell up. The humans are blooded and deadly warriors, and most of them are younger than him. If he can get that, if he can become like that, maybe he'll stop feeling so afraid. It's a good thing ultimately. Admiral Cistern thinks to himself as he pilots his prosthetic body to receive the oath from the tens of thousands of new Undaunted. Vuxa had been wounded deeply and unreservedly, but they were leaning into the blow in order to strike back. Before, Vuxa had been under Undaunted protection. Now it was a full-on recruiting world, with Zalwar as a training world, Albrith as a manufacturing hub, and Lacron as a more primitive but quickly moving recruiting world. The Undaunted grow stronger, as is the creed. Pain is weakness leaving you. Do not fear it, but do not seek it out without purpose.